Hey, what's happening, gamers? How's everybody doing? Sorry for the late start. I had a hard time getting up today. My legs are kind of on fire. But hopefully you guys are having a good one. I just wanted to say thank you to the anonymous person that gave us $250 on our Patreon, which brings our Patreon back up to over $500 a month. Our Patreon's been very low for, I think it's been like almost a year, so that was a huge help to us. Thank you. Our Patreon pays us on the 5th of the month, and it hasn't really been helping very much us afford, like, I mean, just a little bit of groceries and things like that, and tackling the internet bill. So thank you to the anonymous person that did the $250 pledge on Patreon. That's huge.
It was a monthly thing?
I believe so, yeah. I don't know though, but I only know what Patreon says. But we're always looking for new members. If you guys would consider supporting the channel for just $5 a month, it really does help out tremendously. I saw we got a new member earlier today, but it's not in my stats information. But thank you to our newest member, and we'll be tackling mirror mode today. At least we're going to try it. So, somebody said in order to do mirror mode, we have to go to Peach's Castle.
Yeah, and we'll be praying for you and your family, guys, and sorry for the loss
I'm
of your
sorry
grandma.
about your grandma. That's very hard. I can relate to you. I lost my grandma this year too. But I hope that you have, I wouldn't say a nice time with your family, but I hope that you and your family can be together and, you know, remember the good times you had with your grandma, and you know, just be there for each other. And I'm sorry for your loss, buddy. So we need to go to Peach's Castle somehow. I don't even know if it's called Peach. There it is. Beach Stadium, I guess, would be Peach's Castle. I'm guessing we need to go find Peach's Castle, which was probably at first. And then you go inside of the window or something, and it does the whole mirror thing. It makes everything reverse. So it's almost like a Mario 64 thing. You remember the portraits in Mario 64? You went inside Peach's. Yeah, see, they basically did that.
Jump into the pictures like that.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of a headache today, guys, because of all the chemicals and stuff. I just not doing well.
We have a lot of
So I really
to get rid
hope that Zelda behaves
of. She's been a not good girl.
because she's making me sick. Like, literally making me sick. She's mobile. I don't know where she is.
In her bed.
Oh, thank you. Alright, it's weird that she's using her bed. She never used her bed before. That bed has been sitting there for years.
Maybe she's getting to the point where she feels old and she wants something cuddly.
I have that bed there. I can't go in here. I guess we're not done. I wanted to do the mirror cup, but it won't open. It's not opening. Guess I'm not done. Stupid game! I have 24 piece switches, 10 panels, and 19 medallions. Do I need more medallions? Like, what's going on? What have I completed? 24 piece switches, 10 panels, 19 medallions.
Also, I would have been able to hang out with you guys today, but my delivery job was supposed to pay me today, and it said it now will not be paying me till after Luke's parents are here, which means I have to do all of my work that I just did yesterday again, so that I can do like a fast deposit and then actually have money for them. So that's frustrating. It's really dumb. At least we have paper towels though, but we don't have anything to eat. So I think once I actually come back from delivering today, well, first thing I need to do is cut Luke's hair. Tomorrow I have another interview, and Luke's family actually arrived safe. So, but we haven't been able to get out there to see them.
Yeah, my parents made it to the camp.
But they are
ground.
here in
they're in Pennsylvania.
In the town, or in their area.
They are, yeah, they're around here somewhere. I don't even know where there's a campground. I don't know how our RV camper thingies work.
I mean, I've always wanted to do campgrounds, but you always said they're not safe, so...
They aren't safe. I don't know what they're doing. My parents are old. And my dad's a black belt, but he's like a 65-year-old black belt. I don't know how much damage. It's not like he's been, you know, training like one of those trainer people.
I saw a scary video once, like, where a woman, like, she was an RV living on her own, where she just does RV life. And there was a guy, like, that was acting really crazy with her, like, and he was, like, rapping on her window, and he was like, he's like, hi, I just, you know, I'm new, I just need to come in, like, you know, like, can I come in for a second and see if you have any sugar in there or something? Like, it was really strange, like, she kept saying, I don't feel comfortable, like, you know, like, I can't let anyone in here, you know, like, I'm sorry, and then he just kept coming over and over again, was like, I just need to get in just for a second, and it was just, like, really scary, and I was just thinking, like, oh my gosh, that would be so terrifying. Like, for me, I would have, like, driven away or something, but yeah, oh, also, I think the thing was, she was in a trailer RV, so she couldn't actually drive away because she was in her trailer thing, so she couldn't actually, she'd have to leave the trailer to get out, she'd have to go out of her thing. I mean, having at least 2 people camp is good. That's why, like, some people said, like, they might do, like, a tag team delivery job, like Grubhub or something, and I was thinking, like, that actually would probably be safer. Because we have 2 people there and we sell something like that.
Yeah, good.
I just thought it was, well, I don't know. I don't know.
No problem.
I just thought it was interesting that on my app today, I delivered to a really nice neighborhood, and the lady said, "We're doing this service. Was the delivery just did it make people safe?" And I said that yes. I was thinking, like, this is a delivery last minute. Like, I've done so many deliveries and if I did not fix them. I'm excited tomorrow. That man?
Yeah.
I mean, I figured lose 100% of the shots ready to take on board.
That's true.
Might as well just go for it.
You did play soccer.
I was just thinking, I am actually really good at organizing stuff. I think.
Oh.
I won't tell them any of my plans. I just have to work on mine. I've already gone over the worst case scenario that could happen to me with the belly department. It would involve making a kitchen accident. The only thing I don't know how to do is handle when people, like, they said I'd be scheduling people. So that's the only thing I don't know how to do, like, handle, like, if I say, I need you to come in Friday, and they're like, I'm sorry, that's not going to work for me. Do I fire them immediately, or... like...
Thank you, Miss Sienna, for the super chat. Really appreciate that.
I'm sorry. But you're fired. It's like, what? Gestapo Amber is running this kitchen.
Shouldn't joke like Gestapo stuff.
I know. I'm a bad person.
No, they were very, very bad people.
I know. Thank you for the super chat, Miss Deanna says, I had a lot of fun playing this game, especially after I unlocked the special cup. Right now, I'm trying to unlock all the costumes for the racers in free roam and try out Knockout Tour afterwards.
Oh, wow. Way to go, Miss Deanna.
Wow, that's amazing, Miss Deanna. Thanks so much for the super chat. You're breathtaking. Thanks for the help, Miss Deanna. Well, can I ask you, as somebody who was a supervisor, if you say, I really need you to work on Friday, like your availability says you're available, and, you need to come in, and they said, I'm sorry, I can't do that, but they didn't give you any notice at all. Like, what do you do? Like, you just get mad at them, and then, like, fill in on your own with a person, or
it depends how, like, if they have,
it depends if they've done it several times.
If they've done it several times, you have to fire them.
But maybe once or twice, like, you'll be like, well, okay, but
I had a 3-strike policy. If they did it twice, they got reprimanded. Like, I sent somebody to the PR or the HR department, and they talked to them. And then when they did it a third time, I took them off the schedule when they came in, because I didn't like firing people. But I didn't like working with teenagers, because teenagers for the most part gave me a lot of grief. And I wasn't that much older than them either. Like, they were, 16, 17. I was like 21. So it wasn't that huge of a age gap, But I had this one guy at Sears, kept making up excuses. I found him on his day off at the arcade at the mall.
Wow.
I was like, I thought you were visiting your sick grandma at the hospital. And he says, oh, I did. And then I was coming in to check the schedule. I was like,
He lied.
So he was.
There's no way he would have gone to the arcade after visiting his grandmother.
No.
He would have been there the whole day with her.
Right. So, I told him, hey, this is your third time, and he's like, yeah, I know. It's like, no, I don't think you realize it. That I don't do 4. So it's like, I have a 3-strike policy. And, when he showed up again, he's like, hey, I noticed I'm not on the schedule, man. It's like, yeah, you're right, because I reported you to HR, and they don't want you to work here anymore, because you're not here when we need you. So-and-so had a real emergency, his wife's in the hospital, so I have to hire somebody who can fill actual spaces, because I have another job.
Right.
I have a second job.
That's what they told for the job I'm applying for the deli. They said I would be there. I would have to work nights, mornings, afternoons, anytime that I needed that they had me scheduled for or whatever. I don't know if I'm scheduling people. Then how do they have me scheduled? I don't know. I don't know how that works. Who's doing this? Maybe somebody else is doing the scheduling for me, and I'm doing. I don't know. But they said I basically have to, whenever. And
yeah, what people didn't realize though is most people who worked at Sears, would either eat at the cafeteria in the store or the break room. You would eat at the Barnes & Noble, or if you had enough time, you would walk down to Taco Bell on the other side of the mall where EB Games was. And since I was, working at EB Games anyway, I needed to go down and see because we had, I think there was a big game releasing later that day, so I'd been working at Sears since 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I was there from 6 until, I think my shift went until 3 o'clock, and then my other job started 4 till 11. So, I didn't appreciate that because I wasn't married yet. I was doing everything I could to get married to my sweetheart. And so I didn't appreciate, people taking advantage of me, because, my job already knew I had to have a second job. Sears they couldn't pay me what I needed. I told them, hey, if you want me to be, the supervisor position, you're not paying me for the supervisor position. You're not even paying me for the full-time position, really. And I'm doing the, because I wasn't officially a supervisor. I had the responsibilities of the supervisor. So I had the ability to fire people, schedule people to work.
That's messed up that they made you do all that stuff, but didn't even pay you.
They didn't even really pay me the full-time position because they didn't give me benefits. So like I was doing, this is why Sears was a bad company though, is they knew I was good at my job, and they had me do all this other stuff. And the guy who they hired to be the supervisor, like the actual full-time supervisor, didn't know anything. He was so laid back that he basically ran the electronics department into the ground.
Right, that's messed up. Yeah, it's like, well, I'll tell you, when I used to work at Burger King near Boston, there was 2 girls that were like I was generally, I don't know if you knew this, but when I was closing, I worked with the manager and the assistant manager and me every night. I was the only one there, employee on there, besides the manager and the assistant manager. Like, you probably are upset. But I just, basically, I heard them like ranting sometimes, because they'd be like, I told, what's his name, he was supposed to be on tonight, and I needed to do this, you know, with my family, and I had to cancel my plans and fill in and work tonight because what's his name just blew me off and then come. And then they're like, I just feel so angry because when he comes back tomorrow, I'm gonna be upset. I'm just thinking like why, if he I'm thinking to myself, like, if he blew you off and he was scheduled to come in, why would he be here tomorrow? like, you said, I don't know.
So here's the thing. So being assistant manager at EB Games plus doing basically the supervisor position but not being paid full time, like you had to be a manager in order to get benefits, like from EB Games. Assistant manager was like, you know, you were like second in command, but second in command didn't get anything. So it was like I worked my tail off at both stores. And the other one really wanted to hire me full time, but the manager guy who was there was from he was from Weymouth, which was very far away from the Bostonian area or whatever. And the district guy at EB Games really liked me, but the manager I worked with, I think his name was Tyler. Tyler was so laid back that like half the time he was like in not the back of the store, but we had the mall connector or whatever to the garage or whatever it was. Like Tyler was there with the other guy who he wanted to give the assistant manager job, and they were getting high all the time. So Tyler, the reason why Tyler appeared like he was so like nice and stuff is because he was high half the time. Like he was like out of his whatever. And that was the dude who fired me. Yeah, he literally was out of his mind. Yep.
Yeah, it feels like there's some people that do that. They do no work. They have a higher position, and then they just use somebody else's hard work and take credit for it.
Yeah, he was just messing around all the time. So I mean,
that's why I like working for myself, because then nobody can do that. Like that's kind of why I like doing delivery jobs on my own too, because nobody can say, well, I did that delivery job, because it clearly came from my phone. I took a picture of it, I get paid for what I do. That's why I like working on my own. I don't like working, I don't want to say this because when I'm applying places, but I don't like working with other people because they always take advantage of me and tell people they did work that they did not do. And it's like, I just want to get paid for what I did. That's literally all I want, but like, it's so hard to find that job. I think that's why I like being a cashier, because I get paid, like they can tell how many items have come through my line. They can tell how much work I did. It's in their system.
But that's what I like. I had to have 3 jobs, like in order to. And the thing that I hate about like the month before our wedding, I lost the EB Games job. So like, the EB Games job basically paid for our hotel for our honeymoon, and it paid for 1 month's rent, and then that was it. And then like I begged Sears to give me the full-time position, and they still wouldn't. So I was actually looking for another job like in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
like,
I was doing the online job, I was doing the Sears thing, and I lost the EV thing. When I lost the EV Games thing, we got married on June 3rd, so I got fired May, like in the middle of May, like right after they used me for like a big release in 2006. I don't know if it was a console or what. And then that was it.
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it was hard. Like, even back then, you needed multiple jobs to...
Yeah,
if you
and
were-
even when I said, like, when I originally got the job at Burger King, like, they said, well, oh, actually, no. I said, oh, I have a job in the morning, I'm working insurance, and then I said, I have this job, and then the manager was like, well, where's your weekend job?
Yeah,
So,
the
like,
weekend job.
literally,
Yeah.
that was a normal thing in Massachusetts, where it was like,
Yep.
you have a day job going until 4 or 5 or 3, whatever.
Yep.
Then you have your evening job
Yep.
closing.
Yep.
And then you have a job where you just do it on the weekends. And like, I mean, that's what I wanted to say to the person who was like, somebody asked me like, oh, well, do you have to give, your delivery job notice? And I'm thinking, like, I'm never stopping my delivery. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't trust you guys. I'm still doing that. I'm gonna do it in, like, if you guys tell me, oh, I only have 4 hours for you today. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'm doing deliveries for the other 4 hours, because, like, you said you only had 4 hours for me. Like, I'm not, oh, I guess I'll just sit and twiddle my thumbs for the rest of the day. Oh, wait, I don't have to do that.
Yeah, if I hadn't lost the EB Games job, like the assistant manager thing, which was making more money than Sears, Sears was like, with the manager job, the assistant manager job, plus the Sears sales associate thing, and the hours that I was getting at Sears, we just made it so I didn't need a third job, but I also was doing the writing on the side. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I had just enough time to juggle. And then when I asked like when I lost the EV Games thing, I was like, hey, I can take on more articles. You're paying per article, right? They're like, I'm sorry, but you're working with like a couple of the people, so we can't pay you more than what we're already paying you. So I was desperately trying to find another writing job too, and there wasn't, no one else was, it was I wouldn't say it was a cutthroat business back then, but it's like, it wasn't uncommon for someone to work at like, say, oneup.com and also be a contributor to like IGN or whatever, People would basically write around. Like the same writer would appear on multiple websites.
Right.
That was very common. The problem is they needed to have positions to fill that kind of stuff. And they didn't always have like openings. So, and also if you worked for Nintendo on one place, they were like, oh, you're, covering Nintendo stuff here, so that makes you an expert in that field. And it's like, but we don't have any Nintendo positions open. We need a PC writer. Do you play PC?
Do they
It's
still
like,
have writing jobs like that over there?
the industry is slowly purging like the activists out of it.
So
I
they
am.
would have-
I have put my information back out to somebody I know that works at. I'm not going to say the name of it because like activists are trying not to get me the job. But there is things happening. Oh my gosh, there are things happening in the industry. I lost. Where they are bringing back older critics. Like companies are purging the crazy people little by little. So it is possible that I could get like not an entry-level position, but like a part-time position again, if I want it. But I haven't. I said yes, but they haven't made it official.
I think it's good to have like several different sources.
Because what's funny is
Today's
a lot of people who came when I left that I knew, people that used to be at Screw Attack and people who used to be at Machinima and stuff like that, they are writers now. They've been in the industry for years. They just don't have social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've talked to a couple of them, and they're like, you've been a YouTuber for like 18 years. They said, you're thinking of writing again for game journalist stuff? I said, well, yeah. And they said, oh, interesting. They said, we don't have any positions yet, but we're trying to weed out some problems. Means
wow.
they're trying to fire activists and DEI people. So, you know, when stuff opens up, I have the possibility. And whatever company I work for, I'm gonna make like game journalism great again.
If
like,
somebody paid me $50 for me to write for them, I would feel really proud of myself.
Oh no, they don't do 50 anymore. You do much more. You get like $100 an article or something.
I would feel very proud of myself because when I practiced for my violin 3 weeks and I had to play at a wedding, they only paid me $40 to play like an hour of songs that were really hard to learn with 4 people in a string quartet. That was how much they paid me, $40.
So
So
these,
that's actually quite good for a gig job, I think.
what these people are trying to do is like they're getting a lot of pressure from the higher ups, like the people that own these publications. And these publications want, you know, competent journalists that are going to, because there's all this game news right now. There's all, you know, there's a plethora of stuff happening in the game industry that has nothing to do with woke versus anti-woke and all this other stuff. Like that stuff isn't lucrative anymore. So they need people to talk about like upcoming consoles. There's a new Xbox portable or whatever coming out at the end of the year. You have all these different games coming out. You have all this different stuff that's happening in the industry with new studios starting up. So they want people that are actually good at, you know, doing no-nonsense game reviews is what I did back in the day, which was like, you know, just talk about the game, didn't bring up politics, didn't bring up religion, didn't bring up social issues, just talked about what the core mechanics of the game was, how the game played, if it had replay value, if it had DLC, how long it took to beat it, if it had any glitches and bugs, you know, very simple stuff that you would play through the game for, either you would play through the entire game if you had time, or if you were working multiple publications, you would play about like half of the game, do your write-up, and then, you know, because usually a game will start to fall apart after an hour or two of playing it. If there's any major core bugs, you'll uncover them like as you're getting halfway through the game. You'll start to see the game fall apart. And then what a lot of us did, because we had multiple writing jobs, is you would basically be like, okay, this happened here. The game starts out great, but then it starts to have problems because they rushed it or something like that.
How long does it take? Do they give you to write an article about an upcoming like topic?
You have a deadline.
Like 3 days or 2 weeks? Like
when I was doing it, it depends. Because a lot of the publications I worked for were smaller, so it was very rare to get a game before release. We did what was the company I worked for. We were known for doing post-game releases, which is like you wait for the game to come out and then the company would give it to you. We weren't as big as like IGN, even though we were a subsidiary.
I wish that was our kind of company here, because I would love to show off games on our channel after they release, like if we could do it. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You'd have to have a $1,000 website to do something like that.
Well, I'll think about it.
But anyway, so we would do write-ups when the game came out. So then, because we're so late, you had 24 hours. You had 24 hours to play the game, do the write-up, get it approved by the editor, and get it. So basically, we would get the game at like
24 hours?
Yeah, 24 hours for a big release. 48 hours for like a weekend
Would
thing.
you be writing for like, would you be researching all day then, or you would get it done in like a couple hours?
Well, you'd have to play the game first, so you have to.
My gosh.
The 24-hour write-up was the time it took to play the game, plus to get your news article, which would like a review of a game could have like 25 paragraphs, I think.
Oh, wow.
25, 30 paragraphs. I don't remember how many words it was.
24 hours, so you couldn't like just be like, oh, I'm gonna stream for 10 hours, and then at the end of the night I'm gonna write for 20 minutes, and then tomorrow, like, and then write a little bit every night until you finally finish your article.
The reason why I was one of the best, this is what editors said about me. I'm not tooting my own horn. I used to write an outline as I was playing. So when I was playing a game, after the first 30 minutes, I would pause a little bit, and I would do like a quick outline of what I experienced my first 30 minutes into the game. And then as I was playing, if I came across any problems, I would jot down. I had a pros and cons section. So I would jot down the pros and the cons as I went. That way, when I got done playing the game, sometimes I would beat the game in 8 hours. It depended on the game. Because I didn't have time to do the side stuff. The side stuff was to look into, like, because a company would give you, like, you wouldn't go in completely blind if you were, like, an actual trade. If you were a publication, then you would get a press list from the game developer. So, on top of the review that you're doing, because I know you're doing a review, they would give you a important document that was like 4 pages. It was like, you know, meet the press type thing. They would tell you, okay, this is our game. If this is a franchise game, then there's a brand new element that we're pushing in this game. This is the game's new gimmick. So they'd have an entire page of the 4 pages dedicated to whatever the new feature was. One of the pages would tell you everything that was in the game. And then the 4th page, if they had it, would contain post-game content, which would be longevity or replay value or additional stuff after the story. And they'll have a list of things that's in there. This cheat sheet is how multiple game reviewers from 2003 until, like, I don't know, like 2014 would get heads up about, you know, what was going on. So this was before the age of influencers. So even though I'm writing my outline as I go, I also have a cheat sheet with me that tells me this is the content that will happen after you beat the game. Because you have 24 hours in total to do everything.
Yeah.
If we had to do like a walkthrough, like of a boss guide for Final Fantasy, like 13 for instance, I had 48 hours to play through the entire game and make a beginner's walkthrough.
Isn't it take more than 48 hours to play through the game?
For that Final Fantasy game, it took 22 hours.
So you would just sit there and play it? Like the whole... Would you eat or anything?
Yeah, I ate while I did it. Yeah, I would take like 15-minute breaks, bathroom breaks. I would bring food up with me. Yeah. You came home from work, I was still working on Final Fantasy 13. The problem is I grew to hate Final Fantasy 13 because I was working 2 different publications for that.
Yeah.
So I was supposed... The hardest thing for me is I had to write 2 different reviews with around the same score for Final Fantasy 13.
Wait, did you give them the exact same score for both publications?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Both publications settled on the same score of a 6 out of 10.
Wow.
But if you read the reviews, one of them was penned under my alias of, like, I think it was called... Okay, so Mirror Mode is open now.
So how do you tell people you want to go under an alias?
They told me I had to... One company said I had to go under Luke. Like, I wasn't allowed to make an alias.
Oh.
Mamma mia!
That would make me feel stressed out.
Oh, wow, everything's backwards.
It's mirror mode.
Mirror Mode unlocked! You can't tell if Mario's is backwards, though. Mirror Mode! There it is.
Yeah, you can't tell if his is backwards because M is the same way.
Yeah, M is the same way. So, yeah, one of the publications, they didn't like call signs, like Nightwing and all this other stuff, so I had to go by Luke K-Wing. The reason why I went, you know, they let me keep my internet, like, K-Wing handles because, you know, they wanted people to know this was K-Wing, but that's when I had to start doing all that live action stuff, the Luke's Initiative series and Luke's Thoughts and all this other stuff.
I've been wanting to get a really good quality camera, but I have to save up for it.
But I didn't like that because, like, they made me like their video editor or whatever. Like, I was in charge of, like, watching other people's videos and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And that publication went under because it got bought by somebody else. But like, it was a lot of additional work for me because I wanted to do the writing, because the writing I'd gotten down to a science. Like, the writing I was able to get done so quickly.
Like, you enjoyed the writing better.
Yeah, because it wouldn't take me 24 hours to do one game. I would do 2 games in 24 hours because, you know, it wasn't hard. Most action hack and slash games were only 8 hours.
It's almost like if you get paid the same to make a video or a write-up, it's almost better to get paid for the write-up because the video is like a write-up plus now you have to do live action of yourself. Whereas if you're on YouTube and you have the choice between, or you're working for yourself and you have the choice between a write-up and video, it's better to do a video because no one's going to see the article. You can't really get any money if you have your own tiny website.
Well, back in the day, every article like that you turned in, it had to be an editor had to look at it and be like, okay, blah 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 blah. Yeah, we approve this. You couldn't just like post to a website willy nilly. Like the editor had to approve whatever you wrote because it could reflect poorly on the publication itself. So
yeah.
Especially, we had a couple people that were writing some pretty weird stuff back in the day. I don't even remember what it was, but I know that it ticked off the editor, and they'd be like, rewrite it, do it again.
I wonder what kind of stuff they were.
Well, it was early activism stuff, like in 2013.
Oh, wow. So like protesty stuff, like, oh, I didn't like this because it didn't portray like the skirts are too short or something like that.
There was some stuff like that. The Arnita Sarkeesian movement started like around 2013, I think.
Yeah, I think she's crazy.
I think Feminist Frequency was like 2013, 2012. So there was some weirdos that started to... No, there was some weirdos that started to come into
yeah,
publication.
No, I understand. Like, I saw some... You know where they do that thing where it's like you have to respond to a viral thing on Twitter where they're like, who's the person you most respect in the gaming industry? And there was some game developer that said, I respect Arnita Sarkeesian the most. And he was a game developer, and he said, because she has changed this industry so much.
Not
and like
really
she
good.
responded, and she's like, oh, thank you so much. I'm glad you appreciate my work. And I'm just thinking, like she's changed it, but I mean, she hasn't really like contributed in a good way to it. It's just she's changed it.
Could I unlock mirror mode before?
Like I could put trash all over my house. That changed things, but it didn't really help. I don't know.
Hey guys, how do I activate the mirror mode? Like, what do I do exactly?
Yeah.
Did I unactivate it?
Wait, check. Maybe you can check your Luigi icon and see if it's backwards. You close up on yourself.
The words are all front, so the words aren't backwards.
Wait, so all the words would be backwards in mirror mode?
Why wouldn't they be backwards in mirror mode? Yeah, they would be. But yeah, whatever year Arnita Sarkeesian came into the thing, we started to get a lot of very weird women. Because the thing is, we had women writers before, but they were just normal. They were just normal gamers, right?
They were like, I like this game because it's fun and has swords, and it was enjoyable to play.
Yeah, basically. So like a lot of that stuff started to get weird, like around. That's why one of the reasons. Yeah, it's backwards now. One of the reasons I wanted to quit and just focus on our YouTube channel is I couldn't deal with the stress because it was still the same crunching deadlines, all this other stuff, but at the same time we were hiring people, that were weirdos. Yeah. So I didn't hire. I was training one of those weirdos.
Oh wow.
At Got Game. And the funny thing is, not long after I left Got Game, like they ended up going out of business.
Wow, I feel terrible about that.
Mm-hmm.
So what, like, if she was being trained, couldn't somebody just tell her, like, you sound crazy, like, you need to get a grip on yourself and, like, not be insane when you're writing this article. Like, just be normal. Try being a normal human being. But you probably couldn't say that because then she'd be like, oh, I see how it is.
Yeah, I don't know how this whole mirror world works though. Like, how am I supposed to do the tracks and stuff? Hey guys, now that I'm in Mirror World, how do I do the Grand Prix and stuff again? Like, where does it say mirror mode? How does this work? The mirror cup.
You're a little gondolier person on a shark. Well, I guess I should go out and do my delivery stuff.
Where does it say mirror?
Link is adorable.
Link has his moments.
I can't even get the I don't know.
Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. I see now. Okay. Thank you guys. I see. I got it.
Oh, you're in the mirror cup. Awesome, Luke.
Yeah, I
See, I feel better
chat.
going out.
The chat
Thank you, chat. Yeah, I mean, no offense, but the reason I have no respect for Arnita Sarkeesian is multiple reasons. One, I think she's insane. But the other reason I have no respect for her is she says she's trying to create a, quote, more professional work environment, and also she doesn't like how in games how women's bodies are portrayed, so that's like makes them like for the male gaze. And I feel as though she is completely hypocritical because number one, I saw her do a video in which she was in her pajamas, so that's not professional. And number two, she was in very form-fitting pajamas, which are purposely trying to lure the male gaze onto her own body in her own live-action video, which I think is extremely hypocritical because she says that people cannot look at attractive female characters, yet she purposely was wearing outfits to try to tease men in her own video. So I have no respect for her at all. I think she's complete lunatic.
Well, she was always a hypocrite. There's also proof that she was sleeping with game developers.
Well, that explains so much.
There was a lot of information that came out about her later on, but she was like the big, you know, I don't even know, like a lot of people back in the day, like regular journalists, we used to clown on her all the time because she was just weird.
She's crazy.
But she got everybody back because she laughed at the bank because she was getting hired for doing like not press tours. She was doing she was speaking at conferences. She was making a lot of money to go and she was basically creating her own religion in gaming.
Yeah, it is like a religion, and also it's a false religion because it's like a cult. Because you know how cult leaders are always like, well, we live in a really nice society where everyone shares everything, no one has anything, except for the cult leader themselves has a golden Cadillac car and a mansion, and that's kind of how she is. It's like, oh, well, we're trying to create a safe space for women not to use their bodies to, like, be, degraded, yet she's most likely using her body to degrade herself.
Well, I mean,
in the process.
She did stuff to get whatever funding she could do. I mean, she's not like, a saint. She never was. She had people fooled on YouTube.
I expect her to be a saint, though. If she said that she doesn't want women's bodies to be degraded, then she shouldn't be degrading her own.
I know. It's always rules for thee, not for me. But, when we started to incorporate a lot of that stuff into, like, people said the game journalism started to get bad in 2019. I would say go back and look at the writing on the wall started around 2014. Like that's when I quit. Like I left the fall of 2014. Like I was, and by the time like 2013 rolled around anyway, I was so busy with Arkham that I went from working 3 publications as a writer and a video person to only 2. And then by the end of 2013, I had left Game Zone, and I was no longer a contributor to IGN subsidiary. And I was just at Got Game as a part-time basis, and Steve kept me on the payroll, kind of. Yeah. And I would hand in an article every once in a while. And when he needed something done, he would call us and be like, "Hey, I need a reporter out in Boston or New York City to do this. Can you and Amber go down?" And he says, I'll pay you to get in and whatever else.
That's very nice.
And so he did that for a couple of years, but he and I had a falling out because he was getting on my case about doing vlogs, because I had his stuff that I was posting on the website, but then he wanted, because we were pretty big back then. He wanted every single thing that we did as a part of his Got Game website, and I was like, that's not going to work because this has nothing to do with Got Game. The Got Game stuff is separate. You got your interviews, you got your write-ups. The vlog, me and Amber in the hotel are out eating. That's our stuff. That's us personally. You're not paying for the thing. And he would be like, well, I got you into the event. It's
the
like
fact that, maybe looking back at it, maybe it would have been okay.
No,
Would've been
because
kinda
he
weird.
was.
I guess he didn't want us to do the vlogs at all.
He didn't really want us to do the YouTube channel, but he wasn't paying us anywhere near. The YouTube channel was ours, so it's like he was trying to make our YouTube channel exclusive on his website, like the way Screw Attack would bring in people to, you know, have content creators to make exclusive content. What Craig is doing again. Craig is basically making a new Screw Attack with side scrollers, known as Side Scrollers Plus. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as he keeps to what his new agreement is, which is like, if you come to Side Scrollers Plus, you just make original, like, exclusive content for Side Scrollers, but you still use your YouTube and your Twitch to do whatever. It's just you're giving us an exclusive thing that we can put behind a paywall or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's basically doing the same thing that Machinima used to do, Screw Attack used to do. It was a proven successful thing that lasted for like 5 years
Well,
before
maybe
people
we'll
got.
have the opportunity to do stuff again like that where we can listen to them.
Maybe.
But I think I would be more. I think I would like not post my vlog about it immediately. Maybe I'd wait like 6 weeks or something.
I don't know. And so we got into a, because I wasn't a full-time or I wasn't even a part-time employee at that part, but he was basically saying that he owned the Let's Play channel because of like all the stuff that we did, like, and it was like, no, that's you get your exclusives and you get, and he never liked me working for multiple publications, but he never paid as much, like, because my editor was making so much more than me, and I was doing the same work as after working at Got Game for like, I think it was like 4 years, I was doing just as much work as a full-time editor with no benefits. So it's the same old story. Like, every job I've had has taken advantage of me and not given me full-time. Like, whether it was EV Games, whether it was Got Game, whether it was Sears, I never got the benefits of being a full-time employee. No health insurance, no dental, no nothing. No vacation, and nothing.
I had health insurance when I worked at the bank.
Yeah.
And I was part-time.
Mm-hmm. So it's
so
like
I should get a job at a bank again.
That's why, like, I look back at every single job, and I do a great job when I was a game journalist, but I was always taken advantage of, which led to me also wanting to retire, because like I'd been a game journalist for 10 years, and I thought, because there was somebody I knew at IGN, he was there 5 years before he became head of a department, and before he became part of the head of the IGN Nintendo team or something, right? Like, he started from the bottom as a grunt, then he was a field reporter, then he was this, and he was that. I was getting all these responsibilities from these different places, but they weren't paying me what I should have been making.
Right.
And I was very patient with them, and I never fought with my editor. And then eventually it reached a boiling point where, yeah, I did go off, because it's like they were expecting more responsibilities for me when I was running 2 YouTube channels. I was already giving them like the reason why I wasn't able to do that many like written video like things for the 01 channel is because I was already doing write-ups for 2 other publications. Like, I didn't have the time. They were expecting me to do like a new game review, and they were sending me the games and whatever, so, you know, it wasn't like a cost to our budget or anything. But the time was driving me crazy, because my work did eventually get sloppy a little bit, you know, and they didn't even care. They just wanted whatever article they could, because I managed to get the game early or whatever. So it's like I would do the Let's Play with you, and then I would do the write-up for Got Game or Game Zone, you know? It was really easy because I experienced the game with you. And then I just didn't do the outline until I went upstairs in the office, so I played through the Skylander game with you or whatever. Just about every Let's Play that we did ended up becoming a write-up.
I think we should, I would like to write up and I'll try to talk about it.
But what I didn't like about the game industry, and it's probably worse today because there's so much plagiarism now. Like, it's not uncommon for people to steal.
Right. They just go to a YouTuber with 1,000 subscribers, take their entire review, and then post
Oh no,
it on
they're bolder than that. There are game journalists at both IGN and GameSpot that will watch a YouTuber's video, like a top 10 or what do they call it? Like a theory video or whatever, and then like within a couple weeks, the exact same article or whatever, just worded a little bit different with a little bit of changes, will pop up. Yeah, it is completely plagiarized. So that's the problem with the publications today, is there's a lot more plagiarism than there was 15 years ago. And IGN is definitely
I
responsible for a
feel
lot
like
of
it's
that.
harder to get ads on our website than on an article website than on videos. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I don't know how it works, but like I was saying, like I was doing the work of like so many people, and I spoke to them several times, like just give me the full-time position and I will do, you know, more exclusives with you, or I'll help with this department, but you cannot expect to pay me a part-time position when I've been with you for like 5 years now. And, you know, have me be in charge of these people. I was writing emails where I was working, like basically helping with scheduling. And I was doing all this stuff that an editor would do. They would send me, they'd be like, so-and-so's busy with another person. So-and-so, like, she made an article for the website. Could you look it over real quick? You're like, they're like, you want me to proofread someone else's thing? And it's like, give me the full-time position. They said, yeah, whatever. They're just like, just do this, man. I'm in a bind here. I'm juggling this, and I can't handle this. And they kept giving more and more responsibilities to the point where I was like, I was fed up. You know, and on top of, like, Got Game demanding everything that we do as an exclusive. They wanted our Let's Plays. They wanted our vlogs. They, on top of, like, the write-ups that I was doing, it was just too much. It was just, like, I knew the game industry was slowly changing anyway because of the feminist frequency thing. So it's just, like, I couldn't deal with the stress.
Yeah, that would have been weird having all of our Let's Plays on both first.
I think that's when... I think it was like when around I was like 38 or 35. I went to the hospital complaining of chest pain. That's when I decided to quit. It's like I think I almost had a heart attack because I was under so much stress, and I wasn't, you know. And their argument was our YouTube channel was doing really well, so they didn't need to pay us. But it's like I don't want to do the YouTube thing forever.
How is that a good argument? Like, because your YouTube channel is doing well.
And also, they were using us as clout. They were like, Kwingsletsplays works over on this thing. So they were using our channel to basically advertise that I, you know, worked with them and stuff like that. But we weren't getting the benefits from it. There was no influencer campaign where, you know, people were hiring us to do things.
Yeah, that's frustrating. Like,
It's possible we were actually getting some traction because of, like, you know.
Probably.
But I don't know.
That's what I was thinking of, was maybe it was a symbiotic relationship in a way.
Maybe. But it's, you know, it's so long ago. But there was so many factors going into it that was just not...
I feel like a lot of our relationships we've had with different gaming companies have been like, it's like, well, this company might be promoting my stuff, but I'm not sure if they are. Kind of like, well, and then you never know until the relationship's over, and then you realize, oh, I guess they were, but it's like, I didn't know. Like, it wasn't clearly written out. Like, these are your...
there was no agreement with anything.
These are their duties, these are ours. Yeah, like,
The fact that former Got Game person I worked with went to Blue Sky and said he could help, like, make us big or something like that, and it's just like, man, I don't think you want to get involved with us right now. It's like, there are a bunch of weirdos that hate us and want to do stuff. But you know, he was a nice guy I worked with. And there were great people that worked there. It's just like the management and some of the new writers were kind of crazy. Because, you know, everybody wanted to chase that easy article, which wasn't making game news anymore. It was making sensationalist articles.
it's like you have to be a tiny bit corrupt to do really well.
You didn't used to. Like, the game industry was not a place that... It wasn't until feminist frequency came that everybody got along. Like, our circle of work or whatever, our field, was so small that you would get to know... When you went to PAX or you went to E3, everybody knew each other. Because it wasn't... It's not like there were thousands of members of the press in the game industry. It's like barely a few hundred people. Like, the press room at PAX or whatever consisted of like a couple tables and like it looked like a small lunchroom.
I know,
and there was like maybe 70 people there that was each from every publication, not just in the United States. I think we only had like maybe 20 publications in the United States, and there were people international there too. But it wasn't like this. Like, people think that there are thousands. There was not thousands of game journalists. From.
Well, I didn't mean to talk about it.
No, it's fine. I like reminiscing about the past because, you know, I was I did it a lot. But it's like I got to the reason why now that I'm trying to call in favors to get work again, because you know the channel's not doing well and you're doing this, and I have free time at night to do a write-up, and I play most of these games all the time anyway. Most of the things that they want Switch 2 related, you know, reviews and things like that.
Yeah, it's like
eShop
you have
games.
a couple hours, you might as well use
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, you have a couple hours,
That's
may as
how
well
I
make like
feel
a
for
$100
like
or something.
delivering stuff. It's like, oh well, I'm not making a lot of money per hour, but it's like I don't have anything to do at this moment. Really, I'm just trying to get trying to advertise stuff, and it's like I might as well just leave and go delivering some things. At least I can make $7 or something. It's better than sitting here making $0.
But the people that I used to work with or used to know who are coming in when I was going, they're the ones who are the head of these departments now, you know. When I was a game journalist, there was 25 video game publications, like video game, you know, reviewer like companies or like traditional game press that had websites. So they went from 25, like, you know, almost 20 years ago. Now they have 6. And not all those 6 are good. Like Gamer's really bad, Kotaku's really bad, IGN is meh, GameSpot is eh. And then you have a couple like Nintendo and Xbox like fan sites that are so much bigger than they used to be, and those people are always, you know, you have to know those people, like the webmaster. You need to know the people that work at Go Nintendo and all those other things to even become a contributor or clownfish or whatever. But there's very few publications than there was, you know, when I was in my 20s. Because, I mean, it's a dying business. YouTubers are putting them out of business. And then these publications will be like, oh, you know, well, once we go, these YouTubers are not going to get their information anymore. That's not true, because IGN and a lot of these places, they get a lot of their information from Discord, from Reddit, from 4chan, you know. So as long as those forum sites exist, YouTubers could still do game news and rumors and stuff like that, because that's where a lot of these publications today get their sources anyway. You know? So it's like, and the one thing I don't like about how YouTubers do things is they take the entire article that somebody writes and they clown on it. And I feel that's kind of plagiarism, because that person wrote the article and then the YouTuber's monetizing their stuff. So that stuff would disappear if there's no publications anymore. But
that's exactly what I was saying years ago when that one YouTuber was acting crazy with me. I wasn't talking about the article, but I said reacting to a trailer is kind of weird, because you're literally 90% of what you're doing is reacting to something that's already made. You're hardly making any of it yourself. But it's like, that's the same with it's like, that's what people do. I mean, a lot of these like channels that, what do you call the channels that are like drama channels or whatever, and then they take a news story that happened and then they just rant about it. Like they'll show it on their computer and then they'll say, like, this lady poured hot coffee on someone and then expected herself to be paid for it or something. And they'll rant for an hour, like about a news article, like drama people. So it's like, I feel like YouTubers that do that with game journalist articles are pretty much the same thing, because
well, the game journalist people, you have to remember what you're seeing right now. You're going to see a lot less of that, because the companies that own, because most of the video game companies, like the publications, except for IGN, they have big I wouldn't say sponsors, but they have owners. They have companies that own them that are not happy with how things have been the past 7 years. So I would expect probably by the fall, if things don't change, there's going to be massive layoffs at a lot of these publications that still exist. Because the owners are not happy, and these press people think that they have power when they don't. Like they had a little bit of leeway before because they were getting a lot of hate clicks. Yeah. And now that doesn't happen. But nowadays, it would actually be very easy to do a startup, because I can tell you how you do it. If there is so much information now about new games, upcoming games, trailers and all kinds of things that a small publication could do. Especially Nintendo does now daily news through their Nintendo Today app. So you could literally do a write-up for whatever Nintendo gives you that day, whether it's like they are releasing an alarm clock
You
or...
could do it based on Nintendo's daily news.
Right.
Then you wouldn't even have to
There's no embargo about that either. You don't have to make, you know, articles about like a whatever a Japanese company's beliefs are about feminism or, you know, who voted for who in the last election. None of that stuff needs to be done, period. Because it's not going to sell anymore to gamers because gamers don't care about it. Exactly.
Like, if you were doing a political blog, I could understand, like, but it's like they're doing a gaming blog, so it doesn't even make sense.
So 11 years ago, they called, when they kicked a lot of us out of the game industry, except I didn't get fired, I quit. I left before, like, you know, the axe came
That's
down.
exactly the way I am. When I see things, like, going a certain way, it's like, I'm out of here. It's like that, I mean, that's why, like, when I see things getting weird like that, the only exception was when I worked at the bank. I saw things getting weird, but I had to stay because I wanted the health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
But usually when I see things going south, I get out of there before everything goes down because I can see it coming a mile away. That's exactly.
But the thing is, yeah, these people who said, well, you know, you weren't progressive enough and all this other stuff, like, a lot of these people are going to be out of work soon because, like, they're in the same position that we were in, you know, 10, 11 years ago. Like, oh, this was the old way of doing things. Their crazy stuff is the old way of doing things, and people want actual game news. They want, you know, what's going on with Xbox, what's going on with Nintendo's latest system, when are the games coming out, what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy that people with just a matter-of-fact approach, like, I'm just going to focus on the games, I don't want to talk about politics. They're told, well, you're not political enough. Like, it's like, that is such a crazy thing to say, that to continue in the industry, you have to figure out whatever their political bent is, and then start just infusing that in all your articles that are supposed to be about gaming. That's crazy. Like, that's crazy that would be a reason. You would think that people would be thankful for people not being politically...
We have on record a lot of stuff leaked over the past 2 years where one person in particular would write witch hunting articles for The Gamer and other places about content creators and make, like, smear things because it paid more. Like, they're actually on the record saying, well, I would love to write about, you know, the history of this video game, but it's so much easier to, you know, pick a YouTuber I don't like, make fun of their, you know, bring up their politics, call them a Nazi, do all this other stuff, and I'll get paid more for my articles. So it's not about because hate clicks, it generates more revenue for their website. So they purposely go, and they, like, right now, this kind of backfired. There was this person who was going after a VTuber, cat girl. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Kesha, Kirsch, I don't know. It was Kirsha, I don't know. I don't do VTuber. But it was this cat girl that, she's a white cat girl, like, she's like the color white, and she wears like a blue dress or whatever, and she's not even a conservative though, because she swears like a sailor. You know, a lot of these people will say, oh, you know, this person's conservative. Like, she is very, very center, but it doesn't matter. So they made this whole article about her, and they said that she was this, that, and the other. She lost her sponsorships. It ended up backfiring huge on her, though, or on the person who wrote the article, because, like, she got all this wave of support, because, I mean, the sponsorship that she lost was maybe, like, $1,000 a month. She got, like, I think it was, like, $4,000 or $5,000 in new pledges a month, plus Craig hired her for Screw Attack, like, plus.
Wow.
So she's making exclusive content there, like the Machinima days. And the person who wrote that article, it turned out that they were a PDF file. So then that person ended up getting, like, they wrote about something weird about, like, child consent or something, and so the person in charge of that website, yeah, of course, these people are crazy. That person ended up getting fired.
Why would they? I mean, if they thought something disgusting like that, why would they write
No,
it?
it was a Discord. They were part of a Discord group.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Why would they even? They shouldn't even write down.
Right. So they got exposed. So they tried to get rid of the quote unquote conservative lady, which I don't even think the cat girl's conservative. But
Yeah,
the thing is, like, a lot of these people today, even if you they call you something horrible, like a derogatory about like your political things, and half of these people that they're like witch hunting aren't even real conservatives.
Yeah, they're
even,
just middle of the road people.
right. But the thing is, if you don't agree with these people, they want you dead, basically.
It's like if you don't comply with all of our insane,
100%.
our insane beliefs, then we're gonna pretend as though you're the 100% the opposite way, when like they're just gonna make up lies about it, basically.
Yep.
But it is weird that you mentioned that, because it's like back in my day, it's like conservative meant Mother Teresa. Like you would be conservative in your moral behavior. Like conservative would be the Queen of England. Like she's conservative in the way that she's sitting. I'm conservative in the way that I'm sitting here and speaking.
Yep.
It's odd that today that does not mean that anymore. Like I don't know, because like all these people they say are conservative are swearing a lot, which in my day you would not swear if you were conservative. Yeah, so it's just crazy.
I mean, they would swear sometimes, but
Maybe
not
once
to
in a while,
not to the
but,
extent
I
of.
mean, you have like rules of your behavior, ethical behavior.
Yeah, ethics, exactly. Yeah. So, because of this incident now, like, basically a lot of these publications that hire these weirdos, they're reevaluating things. So I was told by somebody who works like for a trade publication that based on what's happening, the tides are shifting back. And they've been waiting like 12, 13, 14 years for video game journalism to go back to normal. You know, they've kept their head down for the longest time and they've still maintained their job, but they've said they've had to compromise a lot of their ethics over the years, like as an editor, because like you know,
they had to just
they didn't have any power
put
anymore.
through whatever was going on.
Right. They didn't have any power anymore, so you know, and I felt bad for this dude, but at the same time, he says we have the ability soon. He says not right now, but he says probably by next year. He says we're going to be, you know, looking for, you know, talented, you know, excellent writers, and he says I couldn't think of anybody better than you because you were one of the best. And he says, I don't know how much we'll be able to pay you. And he says, it's not a done deal. But he says, I'm telling you that the tides are changing.
I think you should do it even if they pay you nothing, just so you have the experience. Personally, I think... You know what? When people take advantage of me, which happens a lot, I don't allow them to pretend as though they're helping me. I make them realize that they're, you know, basically screwing me over. And I don't care because I don't even need them anyway. That's kind of the attitude I have. Like, just in general, something happened recently in which people were trying to, quote, help me get down to a certain area when, you know, you and I both worked very hard and, you know, and I'm not going to allow somebody to pretend as though they're helping me with that when I'm the one going on my way for them. So I think, like, if somebody screwed me over and hired people above me, like, and they were paying me nothing, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, you know, like, you're not gonna pay me for a full-time, I mean, I'm kind of a jerk, but it's like, okay, well, I guess you can just pay me $30 an article, since you seem to need the money or something, I don't know. But I guess I really get probably, because then they would just really screw me over at that point. I guess your way of doing it is fine. I don't know. That is annoying, though, that they made you do a lot of work. I guess what you could do is, like, every time that they try to screw you over, you could just threaten to quit repeatedly until they... But that's kind of probably not a good way of making a relationship. So.
Well, I mean, you know, I knew these people, and the sad thing is, like, the hardest thing for me, like, you know, being around as long as I have and being a dino and things like that is I remember how much fun game journalism was. And, you know, we had console war discussions, yeah, and there was the Xbox team wasn't as nice as the working with the Nintendo team and things like that. And sometimes the Xbox people are kind of jerky.
When Console Wars was the only problem in gaming.
Yeah, yeah. Console Wars was a problem though. There were some pretty mean people.
Yeah, but now we have so many more things.
No, it wasn't anything. Like there was no swatting, there was no doxing, there was none of that. Like
you just call people names. People just call each other names.
Cuss people out at the office a little bit sometimes, you know, gamer slang.
Well, people used to give you a hard time for covering Nintendo system.
Well, I had but I never got to cover when. Every once in a while, I got to do like a big Mario game. Most of the stuff how I got my feet into the industry, I don't like talking about it because it's embarrassing the games that I had to play because no one else would play them. Like, for Got Game, for instance, Steve would get a box of Shovelware. And guess who had to cover all of that? Me. And Shovelware games, I started to like the Wii in 2006 or whatever. You know, it was interesting, it was the future, but a lot of the games that released for it, and the reason why people like say, oh, you know, you're a Wii hater, it's not that I was a Wii hater, it's like literally like,
they were terrible games.
There was like Bratz the game, there was like
there were too many games.
Gingerbread Man, there was all this weird stuff.
You know what I think about when I think about having to do a job that is beneath me and it's unfair and I'm having to do it and everyone else is doing a better job for literally gets a better, more quality thing and less, less demeaning job than me. I think about this guy that I heard about who was a janitor at a high school for years. Mm-hmm. And the guy worked like, I don't know, like 20, 40 years or whatever there as a janitor. Every day every day after work, he would go to the library and research like stocks and bonds and stuff like that. And from what I heard, there was this janitor that actually became a millionaire by working at the high school. People would like make fun of him, make it like he was, not, his job was demeaning and stuff, but he actually was able to save money and trade it online and become a millionaire from that job. And that's what I think of, like, every time someone gives me a job that I think is demeaning, because I think, like, I don't
mean demeaning, like, there was a lot of great Wii games that came out.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for my other job and our Let's Play channel and things like that, I wouldn't have gotten to play those games because they had a relationship with these people. And, sometimes these companies were also responsible for releasing, like, bangers, like really good games. But at the same time...
play their terrible.
Right. So while the other reviewers got to play the really good stuff on Xbox or PlayStation from those companies, in order to keep them happy, my job was to play the crap. A lot of it. And it didn't pay very much, but at the same time, I had, and that's probably why I got more responsibilities with some of these companies too, is because I didn't complain. It's like I need you to play Bratz, or I need you to play Madagascar.
It's hard to know if you should complain though, because sometimes when you complain too much, they let people go. But it's weird that they wouldn't let the people that complain at your job go.
Yeah, and then, when I had to buy that PlayStation, I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna have me do more stuff. But then they had me doing... when I started doing the PS3 stuff, they started to pay more, but then they had me, for fun, what they like to do, because they knew I was religious, they had me cover some of the most uncomfortable and very, like, profane games they could think of. Yeah. Right. That's why they had me do Dante's Inferno and Mad World and all this other stuff, because they wanted... This one, the editor that I had before, the nice person came in. The lady who came in was really nice. She used to work, like, it's like a Disney community manager at, like, theme parks. She did, they had a write-up or something at Disney World or something. Like, it was like a pamphlet. Like, so she oversaw, like, 3 people that wrote, like, the everyday Disney pamphlet for the park or whatever. So then she got hired, because it was California, so she got hired to work at that one place. And when she came in, she saw potential, and she was like, you know, we don't, you shouldn't have like somebody like this writing this kind of stuff, because she says that's very mean-spirited. She's like, but there are great PS3 games that I think he would be really good at writing. So, you know, it was because of her that I actually got out of the... It felt like I was in the mailroom for several years, you know?
Yeah.
And I was doing whatever odd task that they wanted, and then she came in.
They didn't really see your potential.
Right, and she was like, you're a great writer, you're a really good gamer, your wife was doing your channel, you and your wife's channel is adorable, you know, we need more of that wholesomeness. And, you know, she was like, I think you would do really well with this game, so we're going to send you this. And the problem is she didn't stay very long. She was so good at her job, she ended up going to CBS. And she ended up, like, working in the newsroom at CBS or something like that. But the 1 year that she was there was great. The other editor that they brought in, like, he was kind of a stoner. He wasn't mean, but he didn't, like, I felt like I had to take up a lot of responsibilities that I didn't want to, because I wasn't really... Our channel was popping. So, like, it felt like I was kind of helping that guy keep his job. And also, I hired him to make our website, and he never did.
Yeah, that guy was terrible.
Right. He was a very nice guy, but he was just super lazy. You know?
Yeah, the fact that he didn't make it and we paid him like a couple $100.
No, we paid him more than that.
I thought we paid him a couple times.
It was a total of $1,000 because he was going to make.
I would have liked that money back because he never made a website.
I tried to get the money back. He only gave me back like $400 or something. So
This guy's super cool.
yeah, he was. But I mean that.
I guess that's where suing comes in, but
it's hard to sue somebody you work with, and also, you know, it was. He did do some, like, we couldn't have gone to court. Yeah, we couldn't go to court and be like, this guy never made the website. He started building the website and he left it unfinished. So it was like, yeah, it was, and also, you know, I worked with the guy, and it was.
I know.
That's
we
why.
don't have to talk about
Yeah,
it.
it's why it's hard when you work with people and you get them to do like.
It did. It was hard on this end because we could have had a nice website.
Yeah, it was before something like Wix was invented, so, you know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, my grandpa used to say you have to play with rocks before you can play with gold. Sometimes there's a lot of rocks to go through. Yeah, I mean, like, that's all. I mean, honestly, like, for me, if I had the time and energy, like if I was working for a publication that gave me reviews of games that were like, you know, like Tori's Big Day or something, like, you know, Matilda at the farm, like, you know, TVY7 games to cover.
There's a lot of TVY7, yeah.
I would probably, if I was as good of a game reviewer as you, I would probably cover their stupid games on that website, and then I'd go and I'd make a killer review of one of the games they didn't get me to cover on my own, you know, channel, and show them that what they were missing out on. And show them that they were stupid for not hiring me to do
right.
more bigger
Not every publication did that. Like, I did. Game Zone was a great job. The company in Florida. There was a lot of potential there. And you've actually met most of my former editors and, like, colleagues at Game Zone, because they all went into, like, PR for, like, game companies. So we would meet, like, Dana. I don't know if you remember Dana, but he was my editor who hired me from that one thing. He ended up becoming the head of PR for Konami. And
That sounds ridiculous.
he was very chill. He had like piercings all over him, and he was really nice, but you were kind of
I think I remember that.
Yeah. He had very short hair, and he was wearing a polo shirt for Konami, but he had like all these jeans. He had jeans with chains all over him, and he had black boots and black nail polish or whatever. He was very nice, and he was like, "Oh, this is Amber." He was my boss at Game Zone in Florida. Like, so he was, you know, he was over at Konami. I believe he's like not a part of the game industry anymore. I think he works for a tourist agency in Japan because he was fluent in Japanese. So he and his wife went to Japan before the pandemic. And then the other guy I used to work for, he was PR for Sega for like 6 years, and he's over at like some anime mobile company now. So most of the people I used to work for, I still have contacts in the industry because they're all over the place, you know?
Yeah.
But when you don't go to these trade shows and stuff, it's hard to stay in contact with people because most of these people don't use email, really.
Yeah, I know, honey. I'm doing my best
No,
to try to
I
get
know.
a second
I know.
job so we can go to the trade show.
But it's like when people say that gaming is such a small world, it is, because like everybody literally knew each other and you would go to different jobs. It was very common.
Yeah, I am a little bit nervous. Like, if I don't get any of these jobs, then I had a one that I probably would have gotten. It doesn't matter. I mean, I could always apply there again at 6 months. But yeah, whatever. I think I'm that's all. I just feel like it's evil.
No! I had it! I had this fool. I had him dead in my sights. Darn it!
Well, thanks for telling me about that. But...
Luke is a great gaming reporter. I was. I mean,
Yeah, they don't hire people that do matter-of-fact articles right now. So Luke can't actually apply because they only do articles that are slanted. Like, it kind of reminded me of when I worked at the bank.
They do spin articles.
When I worked at the bank, I thought my job was going to be counting money and helping customers.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't actually my job. My job was selling credit cards to people. And they just asked me how many credit cards I sold that day, every day. So in reality, instead of just doing my job at the bank, which was just helping people, which should have been my job, they had this huge slant on it where the whole thing was about selling credit cards. And I feel like that was wrong because I think people should be pressured to buy them.
Oh, the bank card stuff? Yeah, because
Yeah.
It ends up like putting... They're banking on... banking term. When you sell credit cards, this is what they told me at Sears, because we didn't sell credit cards at EB, we sold magazine subscriptions.
I think that's more normal.
Right,
Selling
but
credit
how
cards.
the person who hired me at Sears, the guy was very shady, but he was like, the reason why we want people to buy the credit cards is it's not for their benefit, it's for ours, because if they're irresponsible for spending, then they're in trouble with, the credit card company. And then they're stuck paying all this interest and stuff like that. He says, we are trying. He says, I've noticed that you're not selling a lot of Sears cards to 18-year-olds and stuff like that. He says, you need to do that more because these are the people that are going to end up getting in trouble.
That's why the bank didn't like me either, because if I saw a young couple that was like, we only have a couple $100 in our bank account, can we check and see how much we have? And people would nudge me and be like, it's like, no, I'm not selling them a credit card. They're already in trouble. Like, you want them to go into debt and be bankrupt? And that's what I feel like credit cards are from the devil. I don't think that they're, if you're over 50 or something, you could be responsible using one, but I think most people are not. I think they're the devil in generally most people.
Yeah, I think people who are older do a better job with the credit card stuff than people who are younger. There are some very financially responsible young people.
Yeah, but it's generally...
I lost. Oh.
I didn't like that. And that's how I feel about the gaming industry. It's like saying, oh, you're a game journalist, but really you're not. You're somebody who's trying to make hype articles to get in views, when in reality you're not just doing your normal
Oh, no!
Your job should be covering the games, but that's not the actual job.
Right. I lost again. Dang it, I gotta do it again.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's just I gotta do it again, because I did worse.
It's hard to hold a standard.
I think I have to play as a baby. Yeah, it's the same exact thing again. Look at that. Yeah, we have to play as baby Luigi. Lost again. Same score as last time. Same score. We have to be baby Luigi. Baby's faster. Same thing again. Exactly the same thing. Ah! Babies are faster, I think. Babies used to be faster. Baby! I ran a good race, but this is the problem with Mario Kart that people don't get, is there is a huge element of luck. You can't get hit with something. You can't mess up a turn. You can't, like, get a bad item. All this stuff factors in how you get first place every race.
Yeah.
You know?
I wish that we could make a gaming website where we could make it where, like, because neither you or I like putting like a bent on type articles. So
I mean, there was no, like, if I grew up with game journalism where there was a spin, but there was no spin. The only spin was there was humor in the articles.
Yeah, it was just you provide entertainment while you're providing knowledge.
Right, exactly. It was so fun to write stuff because, like, most of the articles that I did and that I was trained, I wouldn't say trained, but I grew up reading, like, IGN's Nintendo Team and Nintendo Power. That's how I wrote, with an element of sarcasm and humor and stuff like that. So, you know, the publications I wrote for, they loved my articles, you know, because it was both, like, informative but also funny. And it was relatable to, like, you know, sci-fi and action movies, and, like, I always did, like, little bits of, I wouldn't say nuance, but they were a lot of fun to read. They weren't very long articles, but they got to the point, and I didn't use, like, a thesaurus to write my stuff. I used occasional movie quotes and, you know, things that most gamers back then were very big into action movies, like RoboCop and Terminator and things like that. And you needed to have a certain type of pop culture knowledge because a lot of these games were tributes to some of these really cool things from the 80s and 90s. You know, I don't know if they are anymore, but there's still some. There's a guy right now who's an indie developer who's working on a beat-em-up game that comes out at the end of this year. Which is funny because they say there's no game news. It's like there's game news all the time. Most of these people on Twitter, and they're showing you they're showing you a card, so to speak. They're showing you, this is the game I'm working on. This is what inspired it. There's literally information all over the internet.
You can get it.
You can look for it.
I was surprised when, like, a lot of people, like, even people writing articles on, like, there was a Pokemon Direct, and there was people that wrote articles and they wrote the wrong time when Pokemon Direct would be. So I had to go find Pokemon's, you know, Twitter and translate it from Japanese to find the correct time.
I'm just going to pause you real quick.
Yeah.
Do you see how that blue shell came in? And I got hit right at the finish line? That's what I mean about luck. Mm-hmm. Like, the dude who was next to me was able to get first place. I had it locked in. I was done. I was right at the finish line. He hit me with a green shell. Mm-hmm. I couldn't make it to the finish line, and then the blue shell hit me. I could not protect against that.
Yeah, it's an element of luck.
There's a huge percentage of luck that is involved with Mario Kart.
It's a chaos system.
There is skill, but there's mostly luck.
Yeah. Well, I'll just finish my thought really quick, and then I'll read the super chat. But I was just saying, like, I felt really proud of myself that I was able to just do better than the game journalists by just going on Twitter, finding the Japanese account, looking what they said. And then when I streamed that, so many people were like, this is happening? No one else is doing this. And I was like, well, I got the information and I did it, and nobody else, you know, and I noticed a lot of the game publications, they didn't even, like, when they announced it in Japan, it was like 3 in the morning, so they weren't even, by the time they did their stream, they weren't even walking into the office yet, and I was, because I'm work all the time. So it's like, I don't know, I just felt proud of myself. I was just thinking like, well, this is easy. Like, if they just took time to, you know, accurately get this information, they could have, you know, had their correct time. They did.
The thing is too, like, a lot of these places, the reason why they're worried about job security, a lot of these game journalists, is because they don't work. Like, a lot of them, like, they complain about things and they want, you know, an easy job where it's like, oh, you know, I can just look at this and that. But when it actually comes to them searching for things, they don't want to search for it. So that's why I'm saying, like, traditional game journalism is coming back, because you actually have people that are, you know, nose to the ground, they're looking for stories, they have interesting things to talk about, they're not trying to do spins. And these people are going to replace the current journalists because...
There is no easy mode for hard work and, like, accurate information.
Yeah, you always have to...
You can't... There's no, like, skip button. You can't, like, there's no, like, oh, I wish I could find an easier way. Most things are just difficult. It's just, you just have to do this, put in the work. It's just... Alright, well, let me see what, the super chat said. Oh, thank you, Granddaddy Otaku says Kwing loses Mario Kart race table. Don't hurt me. Just kidding. I'm
not. This is not.
The table is shuddering in fear.
This is not F-Zero. This is not F-Zero. Don't worry about it.
Thanks, Granddaddy Otaku. You're breathtaking. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's like I really think that people that have these high-powered jobs that are based on basically lies. Like, their entire job is based on using other people to basically give the illusion that they're doing work when in fact they are not. I feel like these people are generally not very nice people, because in their heart of hearts they know that they don't actually do any work. They're literally fooling all of society to make people think that they're actually doing work when they're not. They make these fancy, you know, fake, you know, titles for their job, and they, you know, they throw in thesaurus words into their articles that have absolutely no, you know, they have not actually done any research at all. They just threw in a bunch of thesaurus words, and then they expect people to, and then because their job title is so quote fancy, and they spent so much time at a, you know, liberal arts college for 5 years that their parents paid for them to go to, and, you know, they did a bunch of worksheets in class, but they don't actually know anything. They think that they can just do no work for the rest of their life and let everyone else do the hard work for them.
We hired people in the game industry that came in during the feminist frequency thing that couldn't tell you the difference between Chun-Li and Katana, that couldn't tell you who Athena was in King of Fighters, over, like, you know, one of Ibuki from Street Fighter 3 and stuff like that. So they would make all these small mistakes that gamers, they can smell a rat. So when these people came in, they were idiots. Like, in terms of gaming, they didn't know anything. But they were just basically there to shake up the industry. And unfortunately, there's still a lot of people that are there that are a lot of tourists that don't know anything about gaming. They only know what's popular, so they don't know all the games Mario's been in, like the different sports games. They just know Super Mario Brothers or whatever.
I was thinking about applying for, like, a, you know, to sell houses, and it says, do you have any sales experience? And I was thinking, like, not really. And I was thinking, like, I should apply for GameStop. Because then I'd get sales experience. That'd be good experience for me to get. I wouldn't be selling people credit cards, at least.
You sell magazines, Pre-sales.
I mean, that doesn't seem like it would be.
Okay, I know a lot of people don't like GameStop, but the reason why GameStop is a fun place to work is, one, it's a gaming environment. You learn a lot about video games, especially as a game journalist. That was really important for me because I got to... The magazines that I was selling was Game Informer, and I got to know, like, some of the people at Game Informer. I almost worked for Game Informer at one point. I tried to. I didn't get the job, but because they wanted, I think they wanted a degree. I don't remember. I didn't have a journalism degree or something. But like, I tried. But reading Game Informer, like back then, actually helped me sell the magazine. Telling people what the value was, because back then, when you would do, get people to buy the GameStop card gave you, it was like 20% off on used games, which games were expensive back then. So, like, there was a lot of value in buying used. Like, I would convince people the value of used, because for the most part, back then, people took care of the games they turned in. There wasn't, like, fluid or blood or whatever, like, on the games that people would turn in. They were in, like, really good condition. Right around the time people, like, started buying the Xbox, that's when we started to get a lot of games in that were kind of gross. Before then, gamers took care of their stuff. Yeah, Xbox and Wii brought a whole new casual market to the gaming space that didn't exist before.
People that put soda all over their games.
Right. So we had to clean up the games. We had to do some games we couldn't accept because they couldn't play. There's a lot of things. But before then, it was really easy to get people to do pre-sales because, like, gamers were always looking for a cheaper option to play the game that they really wanted. They'd look at our used section for hours. You'd have some regular come in, a dude would be there after work, and he'd just sit there staring at the used section, and then eventually would come up with, like, a whole pile of games, say, hey, does this work with my EB Games card? It's like, yes, it does. And then it's like, hey, just remember, you got your new magazine for this month. So then we'd give them these magazines and things like that.
Do you get, like, a discount on buying games if you were to...
Yes, you get a discount. It was, when I worked there, it was 15%.
What about, like...
I don't know if it's still like that.
If you work at GameStop, like, what... Like, I know at the grocery store, like, I have to keep cleaning everything because there's vegetables on the little belt. And stuff like that. So what do you guys do when there's no customers there? Do you just dust everything, or like...
Yup, we're supposed to. A lot of us, though, if I'm being completely honest, when there was no customers and the store looked nice, most of us would play... We had an N64 hooked up behind the counter, so we had a signal switch. There was a TV that was on display up there. Like, right, we had our security camera, we had our monitors, and then, like, at the very top of the store, there was a big, like, CRT. And on that CRT, we had a switch that was behind the counter that could go to the GameStop, or the EB Games, like, video thing that would cycle, like, every hour.
Yeah.
And we would hit a switch, and the switch would activate the N64 in the back, and we'd be standing there, be two of us, be like, you want to play Smash? He's like, yeah, there's no customers right now, because the N64 was always on.
What happens when you have a customer come in? Then
we just hit the switch. There was
it goes to the EB Games TV.
It went, yeah, as soon as because we were in the mall, we could see if people were coming toward the store, because the way our store was set up is you would have to make, like, a certain angle to come into our store. If you kept walking straight, that was the exit to the mall. Or if you turned left, that was the exit to the food court. So if you were coming to our store, you had to turn a certain way, and the opening that we had where our desk was, we could see if people were coming into the store or not.
I guess I should think about applying there, since that will help me get more...
So we would hit the switch,
stuff,
and we would play N64. If the store was messy, then sometimes we would dust it. Because we didn't get a lot of... People would think we got a lot of foot traffic at the mall, but there was at the other end of the mall, there was a video store. Like I think it was Suncoast or Sam Goody. I don't remember. Plus there was there was Sears. There was one other store. There was a toy store in the mall at one point. Yeah. That went out of business, but they sold video games.
I feel like I would be a nerd if I worked there and I would be, like, studying the GameStop manual to see what to say to customers?
There is no GameStop.
Oh, so you just have to figure it out.
You just have the gamer stuff. Just, you know, you just get to know what the new releases are.
How do you find that
although,
out? Just by looking at your phone?
Based on that dude who we met at the game store we went to, there are a lot of employees today that aren't as knowledgeable as when I worked there.
So,
because the guy was like, "Hey, you picking up Donkey Kong tonight?" It's like, Donkey Kong's July, dude. He's like, "Really? Because we have it out back." It's like, even if you have it out back, it's the sale date is not until July. You can't sell that. So that was concerning to me. He was like, "Oh yeah, you're right. We can't sell till July."
I feel like I would be between extremely knowledgeable and extremely blonde. I think I would say blonde things like that as well.
No, you wouldn't, because you know
well,
what games
I know
are
when
out.
Donkey Kong is not here till July, though. Yeah, but I don't know every game.
You get a list. I didn't know every game either. I would just memorize the list, because what they want you to do is you're supposed to be like, okay, you know, this game's coming down the road. Why don't you guys throw $5 down on today? Then you don't have to worry about it. It's already reserved. When
you go in your computer system, though, it will kind of like tell you what date that game. Like they won't allow you to sell it unless it's the date that it's released.
Our computer doesn't have. The computer didn't tell us when a game was coming out. They just told us, like...
But you would get in trouble if you sold it before it's supposed to be
you
sold.
don't usually have a game that's coming out several months in advance in the back. I don't know. I think
odd that they would have
I think that dude was out of his mind. I think what he has is he has the box from Nintendo, but there's no game.
Oh.
He has a display box. Also, every other game store, the weekend before the Switch 2 came out, they changed the store. The store that we went to, they didn't have any Switch 2 things set up at all. And I was talking to the guy. I was like, "So when are you guys gonna, you know, take care of that? When are you guys gonna set up the store?" And they're like,
I wonder if does that GameStop look like it would be in a safe environment for me to work at?
It looks like it. They're not usually open till they're not open till 11. That store's not open till 11.
Well, I'll think about it, Luke. It would definitely help me to know more, so I could help with my channel, so I wouldn't be as blonde on the channel. It's like
what we had. I will tell you, we had a because we got to know the vendors. Like the Nintendo vendor gave us a flyer. So the Nintendo his name was like Mike. Mike was really nice. Mike was an elderly guy. He had sunglasses, black leather gloves, and he had like he wore a brown like beige coat, and he had like a polo shirt that said Nintendo on it, and he was really nice. He came to the store in the Rockford area, and he was the vendor for Nintendo. He was the one who would bring us like a new kiosk or whatever that would have like demos for like GameCube games or whatever. And he would give us a really nice laminated flyer that said all the games that were coming out for the next 6 months. Yeah. And that would be our Nintendo thing. So then we would take Scotch tape and we would tape it next to the register, like to us, so we could see, you know, what was coming out, so we could do pre-sales. The PlayStation guy, he gave us something similar to that, but it was a small pamphlet, and it had way more names on it. It didn't have pictures. The Nintendo one had nice pictures. It was colorful.
Yeah.
The PlayStation one was in black and white, and it was laminated. You know, and it had like a list of like 50 games on there that were coming out. Like if it was the fall or something, it would just be full of names. And quarter 1, quarter 2. Whatever.
Didn't you work at a couple GameStops?
Yes, I've worked at Funkoland, I've worked at EB Games, and then I worked at GameStop after the merger with EB Games.
Well, were there a lot of girls that worked at GameStop or not?
No.
So,
no, it was
if
all
I
guys.
worked at GameStop, it'd be like probably one of the only two or something.
I worked with a girl in Boston at the game store.
Yeah, you told me about that, and she didn't know anything.
She was very flirty.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's kind of cute, depending on how weird it is.
She ended up leaving the store because the assistant manager before me, they hit it off and they quit together and they went on the road. So she...
Wow.
Yeah, they were... Also, I believe the rumor is they got caught in the back room.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I'll say. So they left the company, and then that's how I got the assistant manager position. Is like I took it from that one guy because he was abusing his power with the employees. So they left. They were very nice, but they were weird. They were goth-like people, I believe. But that's besides the point. So,
Okay.
there were ladies who worked, like the DM, the district manager, was a woman for ED Games.
I wonder if, I don't know, I don't really have sales experience, but maybe...
You don't need sales experience. Like, when you work at a game store, you're providing a service to the gamers. Like, gamers, especially, a lot of them know how to reserve stuff. So if you just remind them casually, like, hey, you know, if you put $5 down today on this upcoming game, you're guaranteed it on release day. And then you can pay the rest off later, or you can pay as you go. You know, you could always, every time you come in the store, you can put a little bit down, and then you don't have to worry about it once it comes out. Also, you know, since you're one of our members with the card, you get your magazine and stuff like that, and you give them their magazine, their monthly magazine. Game Informer disappeared for a while, so I don't know what they were doing.
I feel like if I worked for GameStop, I think I would put the fun factor of the store down a lot, because I feel like guys that work together, they just like to have their, like, cheese puffs and their parties and stuff, and it's like, oh, wait, girls here, we have to pretend to be normal. So I feel like when I was in culinary, it was like whenever the girls walked by, the guys were saying all these weird jokes, like, that's what she said and stuff, and then when the girls would walk by, they had to pretend to be normal, and it was like they completely changed personalities. So I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't interfere in their world. I don't know if I should do
Well, I mean,
that.
gaming primarily is a male-dominated space, but there are a lot of females. The only reason
I don't want to do like a buzzkill or
No.
something.
The only reason I did well working with... I had two very unique jobs. With Sears, like, there were so many women there. You had a lot of guys in the electronics department, and you had, like, kind of like co-ed in the refrigerator, which the appliance section, which I kind of worked in every once in a while. I sucked at the appliances. But there were lots of girls. Mostly the girls worked the register though. They didn't like doing sales. They wanted something that was consistent. Sales was commission based at Sears. So
I feel like I would be sort of. I mean, the only thing I could think of is if I was trying to sell people something. Like I did kind of. I mean, only thing I did was I used to work like when I worked at Culver's, I did the oh my gosh, I worked the window, and if they ordered, like, it was like, do you want fries with that? Like, that was basically the only sales. It's like, you could make that a 2-for-2 meal for just $1 more. You get one more sandwich.
Hold on.
Yeah.
They just announced a Nintendo Direct? Are you sure? I knew they were going to do a Direct, but I thought they would wait a little bit.
They're doing it on Wednesday?
What time Wednesday?
Well, I can look it up, I guess.
Why did you get Donkey Kong?
They were... Oh, yes.
You can go back.
Maybe I should work at GameStop, says Granddaddy Otaku.
I mean, you know...
No, I think he's joking. He's probably... I'm
Granddaddy
sure Granddaddy has a much
really-
better job than GameStop.
The fact that he was able to drop so many gifted memberships he has.
I mean, you would be great at it, Granddaddy Otaku, but it's probably way... It is way...
If I could walk better, I would
way
do it,
beneath
but
you.
I wouldn't be able to handle, like, there is some physical elements, like, when the new games come out on Tuesday, so you get a big box, there are midnight releases if, like, you know, it's a big game, and then, you know, midnight releases is sometimes the scariest thing for an employee because, you know, there could be a potential for theft and
The
things
only
like that.
thing I would be nervous about working at GameStop, there's only one scenario in which I feel like people could accuse me of taking a game or something. And I feel like as long as there are all these cameras everywhere, then I think it should be okay.
Gaming has changed so much now that, like, there's not all the games that you sell are actual physical games. They're code based now. You know, so you buy the box, and inside the box there's a code.
Oh wow.
So it's harder to steal something like that. Ah!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. I
But
mean,
the game store, you know, it was a lot of fun to work there in like my teens and my 20s, but I don't know if I would do it.
I think I wouldn't mind as long as people were generally.
Oh, they'll be nice to you because like they're scared of like girls because of all the new PR stuff, or not PR, HR stuff, like sexual harassment, all this other stuff. Like they would be complete gentlemen because there's a lot of problems with like false accusations and things like that these days. That like your environment working with people now, like at a game environment, would be a lot less toxic than it would have been 20 years ago. There were a lot of jokes.
Yeah, I don't mind. I really don't mind jokes. Like, I even told people at the...
No, sexual jokes.
Well, I know.
Okay.
It doesn't really bother me because it's... I mean, as long as it's not directed at me. Oh, never mind.
No, it was directed at women in general.
Yeah,
and
no,
that one girl who worked for us, she didn't really downplay any of those stereotypes. You know, because she ended up leaving with that guy. So, you know, we talked about her quite a bit after she wasn't at the store anymore.
It doesn't actually... It depends on the amount. It really doesn't... Like... I don't even think I should say what I'm saying. I won't say it.
I will tell you, I did not do the Sinbad joke. When all the other guys were, like, doing that thing, like, she bleeped everybody at the office but me. I didn't say that joke because they were like, hey, how come you don't join in on this stuff? It's like, I'm getting married, you idiots. It's like, I already have a girl. You know? So it's like, they always kind of, like, rolled their eyes at me because I wasn't quite, like, with the water cooler talk because... You know, they said some pretty crass and profane things, like, all the time.
I was the same when I was in culinary. People said a lot of crazy jokes, and I just was like... I felt like if I laughed at it, I felt like it would become like... I just felt like it would hate me as a person to laugh at that kind of stuff. I don't know. I felt like I had to, like, not... I mean, maybe once in a great while, I'd be like, okay, and, like, a slight smile. And roll my eyes, but like I tried not to laugh very much because like it just felt like wow. Like,
I can tell you one more weird thing that made me different than other people. They all wore like t-shirts with like stained jeans and stuff like that. Since I was trying to go for the manager position and the GM lady was really nice, I was always dressing because I wore a polo shirt for work at Sears, so I had a GameStop official polo shirt, corporate, you know, it was supposed to be our uniform. So I wore my Sears khakis, and then I just replaced my Sears polo shirt, the black with the Sears logo or whatever, with the GameStop one. So everybody I worked with, they were wearing, like, they were very relaxed. My hair was slicked back. I had the red polo shirt with the black, like, a GameStop logo on it. And I had the, what do you call it? I had my slacks, like my tan pants. I only wore jeans on the days that I didn't work at Sears, and I was wearing dress shoes. So everybody else was very relaxed wearing their sneakers and everything else. And
oh, yeah,
my feet were killing me, but...
You probably could have gotten, like, a small backpack and switched your shoes.
I thought about it at one point, but, like, you know, I was already so exhausted. Like, when you've been working, like, 9 hours at Sears, you know, since open to, like, 3 o'clock or whatever, by the time the end of the day happened, I was so exhausted that it's like I didn't want to walk out to my car and change. So I would just, you know, I kept my polo shirt at work, you know, and I would just go to my locker and I would change into my shirt and I'd put my Sears shirt away. But, like, so many people thought I was in charge at that store because of how I carried myself, how knowledgeable I was.
Yeah.
I knew more than the manager. Like, the manager would literally come in smelling like cigarette smoke. His eyes were all, like, Tyler's eyes were, like, dilated and, like, had red veins because he was out smoking with his girlfriend that worked at, the candle store that was, like, around the same area of where GameStop was. Do you remember that there was, like, this I don't remember the name.
Yankee Candle.
Yeah, I think it was Yankee Candle. So they were always together, like, and they were sweet. They, you know, but Tyler was way too laid back for, you know. He wasn't trying to create customers for life. He would yell at customers sometimes. The district manager always told me, she was like, if it was up to me, she says, and, you know, we could somehow get rid of Tyler, we would make you the head of the store because you're what keeps the store running.
Then why didn't they get rid of him?
They
It was up to them, though.
No.
They were the district.
They were the district manager, but there was someone in charge of the district who apparently knew Tyler. Like, Tyler was a friend of a friend or something. So Tyler had it in because, like, someone of importance at the company knew Tyler. So that's why Tyler was there. Like, one of the higher-ups in Boston.
Wow, that seems...
Yeah, it did suck. But Tyler and I got along as much as possible, but the reason why I didn't like Tyler is because Tyler was super lazy, and then he fired me, you know, right after that scandal of that employee who stole money or whatever.
Which is strange. Like, why would he fire you?
Because I was the one who told the police.
Well, what does that have to do?
I don't know. He just, like, he says, and the thing is, he knew I needed the job because I was getting married in, like,
So why
3 weeks.
Why did he fire you? Because you told the police.
He just didn't... I think Tyler just didn't like me because I was making...
Weren't you isn't that what you were supposed to do?
Well, of course, yeah, you have to report that kind of stuff. But I think that Tyler just... We had a personality clash. Like, I was in it to work hard and to work my way up, and Tyler was just there to, you know, get a paycheck. So there was a clash.
I just don't see how you can get fired by calling the police if someone's stealing. I just don't understand how that'd be possible. I don't understand.
While the lady district manager liked me and the vendors liked me, there were other people at the game company, like in Boston, that didn't like me.
You didn't do anything wrong.
No,
like
I didn't.
Somebody else stole.
I didn't do anything wrong, but I was the only Christian that worked at that store, and like everybody felt uncomfortable with me there. Like, Tyler was hardcore atheist. We had a Wiccan who was there. We had, like...
Yeah, but still, like, you didn't do anything wrong.
No, I didn't do anything wrong.
So I just don't understand how he could just randomly fire you.
What he said was, he was talking... No, I'll just tell you what he told... What I heard after I got fired. They didn't like the idea of me working at Sears. Like, so, you know...
Oh, so that was it?
That's basically what they said. They were like, well, you would love to do this. Yeah, they pulled the conflict of interest bullcrap. Even though I'd been working at both Sears and you know, GameStop for, like, at least 2 years.
Wait, maybe he was mad at you for getting that guy fired. But that guy was stealing from
the guy who stole money was a friend of his.
But he stole from the store. Yeah. Oh, I see.
Right.
It was payback for you getting his friend arrested.
Yeah, I got his friend arrested, yeah.
But if you didn't tell anyone, then you would be in trouble.
The guy who was stealing money tried to frame me, actually, because he didn't like... Nobody at that store liked me because, like I said, I dressed nicer than them. I was better with characters. I was better than customers. I had the highest pre-sales in the district. I put every employee to shame. When they told me to go to another district to work, to fill in, I didn't complain. I got in my car. I called Sears and I was like, hey, I can't work today because my other job had... And I hardly took any sick days at Sears, so they were like, whatever. They were like, we'll get so-and-so, Patrick, to fill in for you. And they said, where are you? I said, I'm all the way down in Weymouth today because they need help with an opening. So whatever they told me to do,
that's what I hate about
did it.
Jobs. It's like, if you work harder than everyone else and you do better than everyone else, everyone hates you.
Yeah, so it wasn't... That's why I really liked YouTube, is because when YouTube finally paid off, I did everything that I always wanted to do at the jobs that I always got fired for working hard, and it paid off.
Yeah, that's exactly what I told my uncle, because he was like, oh, I said, Luke and I, every job that we work, we put like 110% in it, which makes us a target at every job we work at, because Luke and I work very hard, so everyone hates us at every job we work, because we both work very hard.
Yeah, so when...
That's why I like working with you, because it's like I just get up and I start working.
Right. When YouTube changed, it messed up my whole state of mind, because like it didn't matter how long I worked anymore. It didn't matter what I did. it was the same routine every day, the same amount of money earned, the same amount. It was just, it became like so routine after year, like after we got shadow banned, that it felt like nothing I do mattered, and I was surviving based on the support of, you know, super chats and memberships. It's driving me crazy.
It's frustrating because
it's not based on merit anymore. It's based on luck.
Because even
there's a flat rate, you know, based on all the videos we have, but that flat rate keeps going down. So it's like it's all up to memberships and super chats and things like that, and
it's frustrating because
that can drive you crazy.
The people that, even like some people in my family that really were only being nice to us because our business is successful now. They even right now, it's like one of my family members. The way they talk to me is completely different, and they know that our YouTube channel is doing as well, which is strange because it's not our fault.
No.
They shadow ban.
That's not our fault. That's
it's almost like they look at us like, oh, you really weren't successful after all. And it's like, yeah, actually we were. It's just that we're shadow banned. And it's like, I think every time I'm showing them up, like even I'm right now, it's like I'm forcing. Like, they weren't making a decision whether to see my, dad or not. And I made the decision for them. It's like I showed them up because it shows I am a harder worker than them. It's not my fault that the channel's doing badly. Luke and I both work hard every day. So, yeah.
Zelda's on the move somewhere.
08 said that Soulflare gave a super chat.
Soulflare gave a super chat. Thank you, Soulflare. Appreciate that. Yeah, every little bit helps, guys and gals, so thank you.
Donkey Kong is Wednesday, June 18th.
Oh, it's just for Donkey Kong?
Great. Well, that's exactly when we were supposed to be meeting with Luke's family.
It is.
I don't know how we're gonna see their.
It says AM.
Oh.
It's an AM thing.
Oh, well, if it's 6... well, it says AM Eastern Standard Time, 6 Pacific Standard Time. 6 Pacific Standard Time would be 9, so it's 9 in the morning.
Yeah, something like that.
Alright, thank you, Soulflare.
Yep.
So that's 9 in the morning, so your family won't be here.
No, they won't be here till the evening. Alright, so anyway, guys and gals, that is going to do it for Mario Kart today. The Zelda Marathon kicks off next. Thank you guys so much for your contribution. That really helped out a lot. Probably going to have to, one of the Zelda streams, put on the Super Chat goal again, because things are kind of rough right now. As some of you have heard, I have to have an MRI next month, so things are very tight. We don't normally ask for, like, fan support, but we are going to be pushing for memberships and whatever super chats people can do, whether $1 or $2. We're hurting, and we do need some help this month. So
oh yeah, laws are much stricter now. Definitely pub territory. Yeah.
And thank you to Backseat Productions for becoming a member today. That really helps out a lot. Remember, guys, membership is just $5 a month. It gives you access to it gives access to our Discord, our cool emotes, and other stuff. So, thanks for watching, guys. Legend of Zelda is next. Zelda.